Welcome back to the second in a short series of short videos about application lifecycle management, or ALM, as it's otherwise known. I'm Tom Grant. I work at Cutter Consortium, where I study and consult on ALM, Agile, and related matters. And in our first video, we talked about the kinds of challenges that organizations face in software innovation that lead them to be interested in ALM. Now we really need to start saying what ALM really is, and we're going to get into specifics. I think that very often discussions around ALM are very vague. As we talked about in the last video, they're often a little too tool-centric. So we're going to talk about an important part first of the definition of ALM, the flow of value, before we get into another aspect of the definition of ALM, the multi-level nature of it, in the next video. But what is it that ALM is supposed to achieve? That's the question we have to answer before we say anything else. Before we come up with a definition, before we come up with any kind of prescriptive guidelines on doing ALM well. Well, first, let's start with an insight that came out of the success of the Agile community. Agile was a revolutionary change to how people do software innovation. It turned a lot of the assumptions about it on its head, about how we deal with uncertainty, about what the center of gravity is in the organization, shifting it to the team because it's a team-based methodology. And teams have been very successful sprinting away now that Agile is in the mainstream, and it's not just in little high-tech startups in Silicon Valley, but in IT organizations in big, heavily regulated industries. And the conversation has shifted past how do we get these teams to be successful to how do we deal with other issues beyond the team. For example, delivery. The team can be sprinting away happily, have every reason to want to deliver the software to the intended customer, and then they run into the slow and creaky delivery system that can't keep up with the Agile team. So things like continuous delivery and DevOps are natural topics of discussion that have come to the forefront lately in the Agile community. And even before the team starts sprinting, there is this initiation process. What is this product or project really about? What's it trying to achieve? What are the core essentials of the value proposition? What's the minimum viable product? Do we have the budgeting for this project or product? Do we have the staffing? Finally, the team can start sprinting away, and then, of course, they may run into that creaky delivery system again. So the team isn't enough. Really, what we've done with Agile is to create a condition under which the larger value stream can operate more efficiently. It's not the whole story, though, to change the way that the software development team operates. There is this larger value stream. Upstream, downstream, what happens there matters a great deal. But certainly, if you don't change the operation of the development team, nothing's going to get better. And fortunately, it's a disruptive change that has an effect on everything in the value stream. Really, the software development team is the fulcrum of change in software innovation. So that was the right place to start, but we can't stop there. There's work to be done on the rest of the value stream for Agile to ultimately achieve what it was trying to do. The flow through this software value stream is a measurable quantity, and we can identify where the obstacles are. We can figure out the reasons why these obstacles exist, and then we can focus on eliminating them to increase the efficiency of flow. Now, I have to say, I'm a little surprised sometimes that people don't take the time to measure flow, that it's not something that is a normal part of the way that people look at software innovation, but it is something that should be done more often so that you can figure out the cycle time from the inception of an idea to its eventual delivery, that you can then make effective decisions about what are the priorities for removing particular obstacles, and what's the maximum limit of efficiency potentially in an organization. But we can start measuring, start fixing things, and still not solve some of the problems we talked about in the first video. Because efficiency is important, but it's not everything. So we can look at the value stream, look upstream and say, we can have lighter weight requirements so we don't spend so much time on big upfront requirements, something that Agilists hate and people hate in general. We can go downstream and put into place continuous delivery, so we have a constant pipeline of software that is ready for production that then gets delivered into production in the fastest possible time. We can automate tests. We might automate the wrong tests. We might not still have realistic tests about what the customers are actually going to be doing with the software, and so we're actually testing scenarios that don't really happen in reality. And we can do faster defect resolution, but maybe we've misprioritized those issues, and we're not addressing some of the issues that are going to really deal with some software quality issues that the customer sees. Really, for all the good effort put into these efficiency improvements, you can still end up with an unhappy customer. Because efficiency really doesn't say anything about the value of what you're delivering. You know, the name value stream says it all. It's about software value and the perceived value of what we're delivering. I think by now, most people in the software business realize that software is not inherently valuable. In fact, you look at the statistics about the number of features in software that don't get used or the failure rate of projects, and you say, well, there's a lot of waste. There is a definite need to focus on value, not merely efficiency. Because again, we can create very efficient systems for the delivery of software ultimately and still have high project failure rates, features that nobody use, other problems, kind of the user rejection of software that doesn't give you a good user experience. It's more than just efficiency. Now, when you start talking about the value stream and you shift the conversation more to a flow of value, not just merely a flow, you're in the territory of lean. And therefore, whatever ALM is going to be ultimately as a strategy, it's going to draw a great deal on lean software development principles. If you're not creating value, as lean tells you, why are you even bothering to show up to work every day? That among other things, not just the emphasis on waste and different types of waste, but other aspects of lean really force us to confront the question of the value of what we deliver. So definitely, ALM has to deal with the value stream and not just make it more efficient, but increase the value of what we deliver. Fortunately, flow, the efficiency of it is measurable, value is measurable, the flow of value is measurable, so that's all good news. We can do more than kind of seat of the pants sort of analysis of what's not working with our software development and delivery strategies. Which is really kind of the heart of what ALM is supposed to address. Unfortunately, even if you embrace lean, lean doesn't tell you what the definition of value that you should use is. And there are a lot of them. I mean, depending on what organization you're in or what division you're in or what team you're in, there are a lot of different units of measure for value that you might adopt. And again, the methods don't tell you, whether it's Agile or Lean or practically anything else, they don't tell you what the right measure of value is. That depends on larger organizational circumstances. You might be working on a team that doesn't produce a lot of revenue for a software company, but it's an important loss leader for the company's software portfolio. So when we're talking about the flow of value, we're talking about a horizontal flow, the value stream of everybody involved, from the very first notion that somebody has of a particular new software product release or project to do and so forth, all the way to its delivery. That's telling us, then set the machinery of software development and delivery into motion, and it's supposed to arrive somewhere that somebody else above the level of that value stream has set to say, this is the kind of value that we want to deliver. We want a loss leader in our portfolio. We want to improve the productivity of the engineers within our manufacturing organization. We want to make compliance easier for us in the financial services industry. There is a definition of value that comes from somewhere above this horizontal value stream, which implies there needs to be a vertical dimension of ALM. It's more than just the horizontal flow of value. And we can really have our hands full just making that horizontal flow of value more effective than it is today. But we have to keep in mind, ultimately, that it needs to be in alignment with some higher level organizational objectives. And that's going to be the discussion in the next video about this vertical dimension of ALM. We've said ALM needs to include the flow of value through the system. That's the horizontal part of it. But this vertical part we're going to grapple with in the next video. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.